For those who know me, you know I'm a very simple man who likes to get from work, go straight to the bathroom, and take a giant, exquisite leak in peace, while reminiscing on the thought of how no one really likes me and that I'll forever be alone. But I'm too much of a bitch to end it, so I later flushed the toilet and realized, damn, that was a big leak. I was scrolling through the internet through normal internet websites the other day, and I came across an ad that popped up in my screen. So I have massive FOMO and went to check out what this ad was about, and it was bad. So bad. But boobies! Oh, slap my left macaroni nipple and call me Jake from State Farm. This is so fucking bad. Okay, but check this out. I don't know who made this or who it was made for. No, never mind that part. I know who it was made for. It had the right idea, just not a good foundation. One rule in anime is that when it comes to anything about a mom and a son, there's only two options it will take. 1, the mom dies. 2, they fuck each other. Oh my god, I should have known better after watching all those videos under that same topic. My stepmom is not considered manga, but a manhwa, and the story is very basic. I'm not gonna lie, I did not read this because I was on those demon hours, but because essentially the plot looked good. At first. But halfway through the story, it starts going shit. It's like a rash. You like scratching it because it feels good, but at the same time it hurts. But you keep scratching anyways because it feels good. The point is, the story is basic, and I don't recommend reading it unless for a good time. Essentially what I had planned for this video was to make fun of it, but as I was doing more research, I came across the idea of manhwa, which stands for South Korean comic books and graphic novels. Do you know what this means? Cause I do. In that moment, in that exact moment, I had stepped in a new land, a new world of exploration to discover, to conquer. I felt like Christopher Columbus when he had discovered America for the first time. Except the part where he does all that fucked up shit, of course. But I still felt the need to explore. And with that began the need of wanting to discover and consume. So I traveled the vast lands non-stop till I came across the holy grails of them all, and that was no other than solo leveling. Solo leveling is essentially what you expect from an isekai MC, with a good twist, a good plot. The main character starts off as a weak, skinny boy who lives in a world where half the population are hunters born with unique abilities, where our boy is the weakest there is. Due to a sudden change of events, he dies, later to awaken and find out that he's been granted with a new ability, the ability to level up his character like you would in a video game. We see him go from being the weakest to being the strongest, to the point where he is one-shots big enemies, and holy shit, is that a fucking ant? Is it the Chimera Ant arc all over again? Hunter, Hunter, are you there? The story gives off the idea of what One Punch Man is. This manhwa is considered the holy grail of all manhwas, and there's no way you haven't read this, as everyone, and I mean everyone, was talking about it. As I finished reading Solo Leveling, it left me wanting more, and so I embarked again on an adventure to find that solo leveling experience. And one thing I will give to manhwa is that the art never fails to disappoint me. Whereas in manga, the art at times won't look that good, but that's the downside. The art in manhwa will always look great and all, but at times, the story won't. I came across so much manhwa with such good art that it was such a shame to drop it when I came to the realization that the story was bad. One manhwa I was recommended was A Cheese in the Trap. And before I say what I gotta say, I got a confession to make. I dislike romance series, especially when it comes to reading it. And last time I read it, I got traumatized. And now I understand why the person who recommended it wouldn't shut the fuck up. And that was because she was a woman. Women love this kind of stuff, and I should have known better not to trust a girl whose name started with the letter J. You can never trust a girl whose name is Jada or Jessica, and the name Jasenia. Oh wait, never mind the last one. That one starts with the letter Y. All jokes aside, the story overall was okay. Not the best, but okay. During this time, A Cheese in the Trap was considered the best manhwa in the app Webtoon. That is until a king emerged from the shadows and put an end to this horrible nightmare. That story is no other than The Doctors Are Out. The Doctors Are Out is a story of two doctors who are constantly getting in arguments as they seem to be competing for the same clients. in the same neighborhood. They slowly start to realize that both of them in fact share the same interests. Instead of becoming rivals, they develop certain interests over time in each other. In other words, this story is gay. And I'm going to specify, I don't mean gay as the word slang. I mean cool gay, like James. That smile. So please, if you're going to read this with an open mind. Otherwise, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you're the H word. Now, as I kept exploring, I came across Sweet Home, which is a great manga I ran across when scrolling through Webtoon in 2020. Yes, that horrible year we don't talk about. Sweet Home is an amazing story full of thriller, mixed with mystery and action, and is created by the same author who created Bastard, Shotgun Boy, and Pigpen. All great stories, by the way. The main character is a teenager with a tragic past with one simple goal, wanting to kill himself on a specific day while he watches the finale of his favorite anime. As he's slowly waiting for that day to come, the one day he decides to leave his room, he sees a trail of food he delivered and decides to follow it, which leads to his neighbor's room and catches a glimpse of something that would soon stay with him forever. Sweet Home takes place in the early stages of a world afflicted with a zombie infection through the eyes of a suicidal, depressed main character. Holy shit, that was a lot. Now, zombies is a genre that has been fucked to death, but Sweet Home takes a massive twist to it. Those who are infected are warned mentally and transformed to their desires. For example, if you die wanting to hide, you might become transparent. If you're obsessed with your body, you might look like this guy. Now, the characters work really well in the story, each with their own stories and own kind of desires. There's a lot of cool guys, cool girls. Let's see, what am I missing here? Oh yeah, annoying people that get other people killed. And more cool dudes, of course. Now, I say you give it a go, and if you don't like the first 3 chapters, then drop it. Now, right when I thought I had read everything, I reached the point you would call a burnout, and I had reached my limit, and anything I would read would just not satisfy me. And instead of getting mad at the world, I did the most reasonable thing possible, which is read more cartoons and do what Korean kids do instead. I don't like sports anime or sports manga, but The Boxer isn't that bad. The Boxer starts off by putting 3 different dudes under the spotlight. Bakugo is an insanely talented boxer who was born with an act of hitting people. He's the talk of the gym, a very cocky dude, and the bully of the 2 other characters. Tommy in it is harassed by a group of people led by Bakugo on the daily, and despite the bullying, he's a really wholesome guy. But the other boring looking guy, who gets bullied the worst, now he's the interesting one. Yu has a horrible tragic past in where he was briefly touched by boxing. While he's getting beat up in an alleyway by Bakugo's goons, Yu is spotted by a boxing coach who realizes something is off about him. So he scouts him and encourages Yu to come down to a gym. And on that one day, the 3 first characters we were introduced to were changed forever. And that was when Tommy in it stood up to his bully Bakugo for the first time. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who enjoys sports in anime, but The Boxer has wonderful fights well done. Now, the main character is a beast. Tight as fuck. The Boxer is essentially the story of a villain, and oh my god, it was fucking great. The main character is dull and emotionless and reminds you of your typical emo girl. The story stands out because of the characters and opponents the main character faces. By the beginning of the story, it gives off the idea that the story is essentially about boxing, when in reality, that's fucking bullshit. As I never expected to be hit by Truck-kun with every chapter I read, as it tackles a question on what is life? With every chapter I read, it left me wanting to read more and more. The art, the story, the characters, this random guy had me so excited at 3 in the morning while I was reading that I didn't give a fuck if someone in the group chat was getting exposed. It was such a good read that by the end of it, it had me in tears with such a good closing ending to the story. By the time I had finished the story, I had come to the realization that there is no such thing as bad Manhwa. If anything, at the end of the day, that's what the anime community is about, which is how diverse it can be and how personal it can get. Like, where else can you say you watched an anime about slaying demons, finding 7 balls around the world, or reading a story about 2 gay doctors in love? It's not always about having the best taste, the best story, or what's the best thing or the coolest thing being talked about now. Because at the end of the day, it is about what connects with you, talks to you, and having an open mind. I'm the kind of guy who can argue about which new gen anime is the best anime out now, and then argue about whether I would suck dick for 100k, all in the same conversation. In fact, those were one of the best conversations I've ever had with one of the best people I had the pleasure of meeting. Because at the end of that screen, every screen isn't just a machine producing amazing anime, producing content, or producing stories. It's just a person with its own emotions and thoughts that they are trying to express through their work. So, I guess what I was trying to say was, I read a really good manga the other day. It was such a good read. No, it was the perfect read. In fact, it was a masterpiece. I really enjoyed it, and you should go read it. If you don't like it, that's okay. In fact, it's fine. Not everyone has good taste. My name was Willyohh, and I read shitty manhwa, shitty manga, and watch shitty anime so you don't have to. And see you next time.